Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, hello everyone. My name is Rindah Islami from English Literature B. Today I'm going to present the material from Chapter 8, which entitled Culture, Structure, and Agency, Three Attempts at Synthesis. This chapter will discuss about the relationship between system of meaning and human action in cultural theory perspective based on the explanation of several experts such as Pierre Bourdieu, Anthony Giddens, and Norbert Elias. Pierre Bourdieu. Pierre Bourdieu was a French sociologist, anthropologist, philosopher, and public intellectual who was born on 1st August 1930 and died on 23 January 2003. Bourdieu's work was mainly a study of the dynamic of power in the society and how it is transferred within the social construct of society, and through generation his best-known book Distinction, a social critique of the judgment, taste, looked to analyze the judgment of an individual based on their position, or even better, are the result of the position in the process. He tried to analyze the influence of both external social structure and subjective experience on an individual. Habitus. This has been Bourdieu's most reputed but ambiguous project. It basically refers to the physical embodiment of cultural capital, the habits, skills, and disposition one uses to gather their life experience. In a very basic sense, habitus is how one would react in a given environment on the basis of how they have reacted throughout their life. For instance, if a person is from a financially unstable background and they get a high paying job, they will still look to save some money, as that is what they have been taught throughout their life, that is their survival skill set. Habitus is also the development of taste in a human being because of their social status. For instance, a person from the higher part of the society would enjoy art more than a person from the lower part of the society. This is so as the high class person has been doing it throughout their life and has been accustomed to the same. Cultural capital. Marx had some influence of Bourdieu, as the cultural capital theory can be tracked back to the ideas of Marx. Bourdieu believed that capital dictated one's position in society and their social life. He believed that the impact of capital could be seen to the depth of the social constructs. Beyond just the economic concept, Bourdieu believed that the symbol of materialism were defining the social class one belonged to. For instance, having luxury cars would set one in the elite class of society. He also believed that cultural capital was also an indicator of where one stood in society and was a major source of inequality among class. He further added that there were three aspects to cultural capital. They are embodied, objectified, and institutionalized. An action posed by someone is the embodied part. A luxury car is an objective part, whereas degree or credential are an institutionalized aspect of cultural capital. Fields. Bourdieu believed that the world had been divided into several sections, corresponding to fields. The aspects such as law, religion, sport, etc. have their own set of rules and regulations along with forms of capital. Some of these fields are intertwined. For instance, religion and education come together when students are taught religion in college. However, Bourdieu believes that these fields have a form of autonomy toward them, and it is better if they don't get into it. Bourdieu also believes that each position has its own practice and position. The struggles are very unique for each field as people from the social construct try to assert their dominance over the field. These artists tried to overcome the coherence which was established by their previous generation with their own, but end up being criticized by their next generation. Hence, the fields were no longer coherent, and everyone had a very personal perspective in mind. Anthony Giddens' theory. Giddens' theory of structuration argues that in order to understand society, one cannot look only at the action of individual or the social force that maintain the society. Instead, it is both that shape our social reality. He contends that although people are not entirely free to choose their own action, and their knowledge is limited, they nonetheless are the agency and reproduce the social structure and lead to social change. Structure. Structuration theory concept in sociology that offers perspective on human behavior based on a synthesis of structure and agency, effects known as the duality of structure. Instead of describing the capacity of human action as being concentrated by powerful stable societal structure such as educational, religious, or political institution, or as a function of the individual expression of will, structuration theory acknowledges the interaction of meaning, standards, and value and power and posit a dynamic relationship between these different phases of society. Agency. In contrast, agency is considered the individual process that the ability to exercise their own free will and make their own choice. Here, social structure are viewed as a product of individual action that are sustained or discarded rather than incommensurable force. Norbert Elias. Like Bourdieu and Giddens, Norbert Elias sees the self as a key tool for the originating agency in cultural theory. Elias attempts to bridge the gap between macro and micro sociology, focusing on how structural and individual personalities interact with one another in social change. Elias' civilization process also has much in common with Weber's concept of relationalization, having similar origin in the changing character of interaction between social structure and individual personality. Indeed, the civilization process is Elias' attempt to subsume regionalization in a much broader trend that includes the ever stricter control of impulse, drives, and emotion, and advance in personal shame and embarrassment regard our animal nature, like our bodies, elimination, and sexuality, and putting such animalic activities behind the scenes of social life. So, based on this material, we could get some benefits such as help us to get more understand about the concept of habitus, cultural capital, field structure, and agency, and also teach us how structuration explores the connection between individual and social system, where structuration theory attempts to understand human social behavior by resolving the competing views of structure, agency, and macro-micro perspective. Thank you.